Let us now receive the wisdom and the teaching and the loving messages and guidance from Kryon.
Greetings, dear ones. I am Kryon of Magnetic Service. There are so many, even those in this room, a while back would not accept that which is channeling, and maybe they still don't. Every single human in the room is participating in a partial truth. Everyone. My partner mentioned that your own scientist had acknowledged that there are many, many dimensions. It's more than that, dear ones. They still want to number them. They still want to identify them and put them in a mathematical equation, not understanding that they're all together in a soup of dimensionality, which contains that which is God, which contains that which is spirit, and all the things that those of you in the room might think are supernatural, and they're not. They're natural. The partial truth you all live in is this one. There are things you will accept and not accept, based upon that which is around you or you've been told. And to have that which is channeling be accepted is a stretch for many. And here's why. Even though every single one of you and anyone listening to my voice later is able to do this, which is called channeling, most of you are told that it's evil or inappropriate, and that it's impossible for a human to simply sit down and speak to spirit in this way. One way or another, having received it or transmitted it, you've been told that it's beyond your abilities, or perhaps you're even unworthy. I want you to examine right now what you were told. It's still in your subconscious to some degree. What are you able to do? It's in your subconscious to some degree. What is it your body will not allow you to do because it's in your subconscious that says it's impossible, or what you've been told? This is what you deal with. A partial truth for all of you. And that is that veil which you speak of. Let's talk about the veil. This veil that so many will claim is the wall between themselves and that which is grander, that which is spirit, that which is God, that which is angelic. There is a wall, a veil, something there called a veil. Some will say, well, that's what God put there to separate the majesty of the divine from the human being. And that's also what you were told. And what does that tell you about who you are? That is a simple statement. It's an innocent statement. Demeans the human being. You realize that, don't you? There's a wall between the Creator and you called the veil. And then there are rules to get through the wall. And you've believed them, never understanding that the veil is something you have created in your own personal life. Dear Spirit, you might say, I wish to remove the veil or move it. I want to make it thinner. I want to reach through it and touch the face of God. I want to know so much more about what I am able to do. That is so loving and so compassionate and so innocent of a request. And yet to some, they will say, my subconscious will not allow it. I can't get through the veil, even of my own creation. That's why we're here. This is an awakening time for humanity. And the awakening is not to new ideas necessarily, although they're happening. The awakening is not necessarily to that which is starting to show itself as something you should look at or perhaps correct, that's happening. That's not the main awakening. The awakening, truly, human by human, is to how magnificent you are. I want to give you a picture, as I've done before, many times. And the picture is this. It's our picture of you. We stand next to you. There are helpers who come in at birth with you that you cannot see. How does that sound? So many of you see them when you're children. Identify them, play with them, give them names. And then you're talked out of it by your parents who are absolutely solidly in 4D. And then they go away, but they don't go away. They're real and they stay with you. Every single human in the room has these helpers. You can call them what you want. Multidimensional beings, almost angelic, that are here to help guide you. They're guides. They help guide you. If you ask. If you ask. This is the design. Think of the love that went into this. The human comes into this earth with free choice to see everything or not. To get beyond the narrative, if they wish. And all that time that they're working the puzzle, the entourage that came in with them, designed to help them and guide them into beautiful places, just stands there, waiting, all your life. And if you never call upon them, and you never see them or even test the idea that they're there, they go out with you. These are from your soul, dear ones, and they are the same ones every time you incarnate. The same ones. They're your best friends, who some of you say you've never met, because you've never reached out your hand and said, "Show me." You've never reached out, perhaps, your mind to say, "Are you there? Let's work together. I'll be patient." These are things that are simply not done intuitively. Until now, something is happening. You might say that for the entire population of this planet, and it is, the veil has lifted slightly. There are more taking a look now, where they didn't before. But it's always been the same. You come in with free choice, no bias. God is not there showing you and saying, you ought to come this way. It's not the way it is. The free choice is a system, a test. And that is a test of light and dark, and the result of that test enlightens or darkens a planet. And this one is coming into the light. Others have done the same. And that's why we get so excited to let you know the good news that you may not be aware of or sense or see in these times. We told you these times were coming, and they're here. It was no accident that you now have a pandemic. We told you things would change. So many expected a world war. You have I would say, the attributes of a world war. The shut-in, the shutdown, the economies, all of that a war would have created without the destruction of the infrastructure. Think about it. It's all here. And we said it would be. And it's pushing and pulling people apart and together as they start to examine what is important to them and why they believe what they believe. And that will continue for some time. The result at the end will be something you didn't expect. A unification of truth that you didn't expect. Now, that's the first time I've said that. These are the things that have happened in the past and that are winding up right now to happen very slowly on this planet. Light is here to stay. If it were not, this would never have happened. Did you realize that? It simply would have continued the same. There are so many who expect the worst, who would say, here it is. Well, I expected the worst, and here it is. Right on schedule, right on time, the worst. And they say, well, we're not going to get through this. It's just going to be like everything else. History repeats itself. We'll go into certain areas of politics and war, and it'll simply be the same. I hope we get through it. Woe is me. That's their truth. Let me give you another picture. Does this feel like it used to? Does it feel like history is repeating itself to you? Or does this feel absolutely brand new and a bit strange? You answer that in your mind. And if it feels brand new and a bit strange, that is the shift. And I'll tell you, it has a silver lining. There's something that so many of you have never done or never tried. You've tried positive thinking, you've tried affirmation, you've tried all manner of things. But I'll tell you what my partner did that worked. This entourage around you loves you so much. It's waiting for one thing. For you to trust it, that it works. To cognize it, that it works. To hold out your hand and say, show me. When my partner sat down in the chair 32 years ago as an unbeliever, but startled with some things that he saw, that made him sit in the chair saying, there has to be something else here. I'll give it a chance, but only for a moment. And as he sat down in the chair, he didn't believe anything would happen. But it's what he did. And he did it intuitively and almost as a joke. And he said this, if you're there, whatever your name is, show me. I'll tell you that there was rejoicing at that moment of the entourage who almost couldn't believe their ears, if you could say ears. It sent ripples into his life because there was a chance that he'd see it and that he would follow a life's lesson that he had planned for himself. Something that said that you will awaken to a larger truth that will come upon you in your mid-40s, when many are thinking about planning on retirement. A life would start that would continue and continue and continue, and thousands would be affected. He said, show me. And when he sat down in the chair, and we've told this before, he wept like a baby. He wept. He was so startled that this happened, he thought there might be something in the chair. He got out of the chair, got back in the chair, and he wept again. And he realized there was a cause and effect relationship when he sat down with intent to know and said, show me. He got something he didn't expect that made him look. Did you hear that? He didn't get the resolution. He didn't get everything he wanted. He didn't find out about Kryon. But it made him look. Something so startling that he didn't expect. And as he looked, things got better. For he met people he should meet. And his life started to move into areas that they never would have moved in before, because he gave allowance for it. There was no spontaneous remission of belief for him. But when he said, show me, and got the response, that's what started a ball rolling, a slow one. Many of you work that way. You're expecting the healing to be instant or this to be permanent immediately, not understanding it might be a series of events where you meet people, or even doctors, or healers that you never knew were there before, or never meet before, because you said, show me. I want to know this is real. Show me. But there's more to it. You can't just have the words there. There's got to be a word that doesn't exist in English, and we use the word cognize. It's the best word you have, but that's not the word. This word does not exist in your language. When we say, do you believe in gravity? It's laughing. What do you mean, do you believe in it? It's there. When I jump up, I'm gonna fall down. That does not have a word. It's a kind of a belief. It's a cemented belief. There is no way you can unbelieve it. Gravity is always there. And it's always there no matter where you are on the planet. So it's not about believing in it or even rewriting your truth. It's simply always there. So we say you've cognized gravity. Have you cognized the love of God in your life to the extent that you know there's a hand outstretched, waiting for you to be shown? And that perhaps this veil of your own creation is keeping you from seeing the kinds of things that were always there. Even though you tried, you couldn't push that veil. You couldn't do it by yourself, no matter what you did. And that's when you should sit down and say, show me. Because that's when Spirit may do something through coincidences or meeting others that you didn't expect. And then if you're paying attention, you'll go, aha, this is out of the ordinary. I'm being shown. And follow that path. And that's when those guides, those angelic ones that you were with and have been, can start to do their work. And it doesn't matter how old you are, how young you are. The plan is the plan. And even if it's only for the last years of your life, it's beautiful. And the plan is the plan. If you look, the things that you will learn in this lifetime, the things that you will awaken to in this lifetime, are different from any other lifetime you've ever had. Because you sit in the shift. You sit in a different magnetic field. You sit in a different awareness level. Because of that, let me tell you something. It changes that which is etched into your DNA that you call memory. I'll tell you something that I have told so many people before. Perhaps you ought to hear this. There is a system that was presented today called reincarnation. And what made the display today with the video you saw so startling is that here was someone who remembered. But that's not common, is it? Let me tell you what's going to happen when you return. Dear ones, you're all returning, even though you don't want to. I know who's here. You don't want to because you don't want to go through this again. I don't blame you, dear ones. What if I tell you now, when you return, everything you have learned in this lifetime at some level will stay with you in your DNA, so you never have to learn the lessons you learned this time around again. They are part of your knowledge and your wisdom. And in you will come fresh and new and young with all that knowledge intact. You're going to be a handful. But that's who you're going to be. And that's the plan. And always has been. Those who awaken now, working through the shift, solving the problems, going through the difficulties, becoming lighthouses. All of you. When you return, will have that knowledge. You may not know who you were, like Jimmy Leininger, but there will be some sense that you know how things work, and you will not make those mistakes. That's part of the energy of the shift and the multidimensionality which so many deny is even there. There has been a shift, a multidimensional shift, in the system even of spirituality. This is a shift where those things that had been so solidly invisible start to appear. Where the ideas which had been tucked away for so long start to emerge. There will be things starting to happen that you wondered, where have they been for so long? They're so simple. New systems that would appear that you would say, where has that been? It's only a matter of those thinking about it to make it happen. It's almost akin to over 200 years ago when your country started. And you had the idea of a constitution and a Bill of Rights and all the things that were so different. And they were so opposed because they were so different. But they were so radically good. The ideas were so amazingly accurate. You might even say they were channeled. And your country at that time started and became one of the greatest and one of the biggest and one of the most envied because you had figured it out, how you could live together and have the abundances that were there because of the rules, because of the system that a few men put together. What if that could occur again in several areas, in physics, in politics, in systems of governing? There will be a country that starts something that you've never seen before, like your country did. And you will look at it and go, could this work? And we've talked about this before. And it's not here. It's not even on this continent. Dear ones, things like this can happen. There are new ideas, believe me. You right now lay in a cauldron of old energy even still when it comes to ideas and processes and how things work and what to do. And when you get past this, which you call the pandemic, that's when it all starts to happen. I'm giving you information that I've given in pieces and parts in other times, in other ways. But all to tell you that you sit on a gold mine of energy. But the ones who are going to know it and do something about it are the light workers, the ones who sit here, the ones who hear this, the young people as well who are now coming online, you might say, with a whole new perception of what they might do. Most of the young people in the past went through the schools that taught them how things worked and who they would be and who they should be. And that's what they did. There are those who study history and say, well, that's the reason why history repeats itself. There's never been anything new taught to them. And so here you are with an idea that stagnates and is taught over and over and over. Are you surprised and nothing happens? And then suddenly there are new ideas. And even if they're rejected by those institutions that teach, they're still all there intuitively to be manifest. They don't need to be taught in school. Listen carefully. What I'm telling you is that there are those like you who are coming back in this planet right now in the very condition I told you you will be when you return. They are old souls coming back, knowing very much that they start at a level that they left off when they passed over. And you're starting to see their influence as young people when they start to reject that which they're taught because they know better. They're rejecting the old energy because they know better. And these are the ones that developed and will develop some of the newest energies on the planet. You haven't seen them yet, not all of them. But you'll know when they arrive because they will turn upside down so many of the things that have always been there or the way things always have worked. Can you imagine a time where the church is not the church you knew, where it doesn't fall over? It simply becomes more aware of the love of God and starts teaching it differently. That's what churches are here for, dear ones. That's why they exist, to try to educate you into that which is the beauty of the love of God. And so far, they've been in the dark too, unaware. And their test will be when the truth arrives and they see it very, very clearly. Can they change their doctrines slightly, a little at a time, and come up with that which is what you know, that there is a system of God that is bigger than anything that's being taught on the planet at the moment. And when they see it, and when they understand it, and they can teach it. That will be a day you didn't expect. And you'll see those things start to change too. Has there been anything on this planet that has happened that got your attention? That you didn't expect? What about some systems that we've talked about for a very long time? I'll tell you that they were systems of darkness. Systems that kept women sequestered in certain strata. Systems that made women behave a certain way or do certain things if they wanted anything at all. Have you seen anything change with that? And how long has that been going on? And the answer is yes. Suddenly, they're being believed when they report abuse. Suddenly, the justice system is believing them. Suddenly. Where did that come from? You think that's an accident? Is that history repeating itself, or is it new? I've told so many. Did you expect a new pope when the old one's still alive? Did you expect the new pope to start cleaning up that which has been happening for hundreds of years with the priest abusing kids and acknowledging it and talking about it and trying so hard to battle the old energy within the church? That's not history repeating itself, dear ones. Things are afoot that you don't expect, and there is more coming. It starts to unfold slowly, so you don't acknowledge it. It doesn't make the news like you expect something would. It happens slowly, and then you realize it's happening. But dear ones, every single thing I've spoken about is the light coming out. That's you. That's you acknowledging that there are those around you who love you, that you're magnificent, and that you can guide your own life and your own path and your own reality. In certain degrees, so many of you have always done that to some degree. But this is new. It expands everything you thought you were and everything you thought you knew, light worker, even if you have been metaphysical for 50 years or more. This is new. You can do more. You can accomplish more. History is not going to repeat itself even in metaphysics. All these things I speak about, there's more. I'll discuss it later. We have got 3 more days. I am crying in love with humanity. I bring a message which is not always the one that people believe, but they will later when it starts to happen. Until then, God is patient. And so it is.